Hello and welcome to the new episode of The Great Legal Minds. Today I have someone super special with me. He needs no introduction, and I literally mean it, because if you actually see him on LinkedIn, he is a kind of a like mini influencer in the legal space for sure. Let me introduce uh, formally the General Counsel of Boeing, Mr. Akhil Prasad. Hi, Akhil. Thank you so
Hi.
much for joining us today.
Hi, Aman, and thank you for having me here and for your very kind words of that I'm an influencer. This is a very big compliment for me because not many years ago, while I was struggling to find my feet, I was looking to a lot of directions from every side. And, I'm so grateful and thankful to you that you are treating me like an influencer today. So this is a big accomplishment for me.
Akhil, actually, any post that you make, any comment that you make, there are so many people who follow you, who love you, and who actually, comment on and engage with you, who would love to engage with you. So you definitely are. And I think, you made a very good point, and I think that is going to be the center stage of, today's conversation. Because, I've been talking to people a lot on the professional side and on the like what's happening in the industry and all of that, but your case is going to be like truly special for me because it resonates with me personally as well, because I also come from a small town, and we will definitely talk about your journey. And I'm sure it is going to be a very inspirational conversation what for so many people who would be listening to us. So I mean, I really thank you for being with me today. uh, but before that, I just wanted to actually, before I get into your journey and a new initiative that you people have started, I wanted to actually check with you that today, if you actually look at the policy regulatory landscape, I mean there are so many rapid changes that are happening. So I'm sure that is keeping you guys super busy. So what are the top priorities of general counsels these days?
So I think, Aman, frankly, the entire concept of general counsel has undergone a huge shift. So not, just few years ago, we were treated as legal officers, people who could make contracts, people who could ensure compliance. But I am so happy to see that in a very short span of time, um, the general respect for a general counsel in business has grown multifolds. And that only endorses how happy businesses are, if we try and do our best to work with them, to burn the midnight oil with them, and be ready to be very, very proactive. So, a business person, and I'm not talking about what legal solutions, what regulatory solutions. What I'm just trying to say is, uh, like you are in your home, you are taking care of your family, all the members of your family, whether your parents, whether your wife, whether your children, whether your relatives. I think that similar mindset has to be there at a workplace, because the moment you have the same uh, desire, to grow, to go outside and beyond, to help your company like you help your family, I think you will get immediate acceptance like you get in your family, a similar kind of acceptance you will get in your organization. And once you are accepted, once that trust and confidence is there, I don't think that any regulatory challenge or any new law can push you back. These problems only come when you are struggling to be accepted in your organization, when people look at you with suspicion, or when you are not trusted. So I think the key fundamental, the basic fundamental is we have to love our work as much as our family and give everybody equal importance. You can't neglect anybody. So in terms of changing environment, I think what we have seen in the last few years, there has been a deliberate push of change in every sphere, whether we talk about corporate laws, whether we talk about the labor laws, whether we talk about the technology laws. I think everywhere we see today there is a deep desire to change. And what we have seen, one of the biggest challenge that we see today is about the technology impact on business and its related regulatory and legal compliance. Because recently we saw, for example, there is a new CERT guideline which talks about reporting of cyber threats within 6 hours. So should we call it a challenge or should we call it an opportunity? I think these are all new learning opportunities for us as lawyers, because technology is not jurisdiction specific. Technology is universal, and we as lawyers have to understand technology better than our business counterparts. So, and then, moving away to labor regulations. For example, the new labor codes will be in effect very, very soon, where dispute resolution mechanism will go a fundamental change, where compensation structures will undergo a major change, where safety and security of employees will undergo a major change. So a general counsel has to be very, very, it's not an HR job. I think it is also a general counsel job to think about safety of people working in an organization. So these are all opportunities around us, as I see. I don't think there are threats or challenges. And as businesses become more complex, as businesses become more global, I think we as general counsels will also be exposed to this new, diaspora, which is international. And then we will have to learn that the CERT guideline, for example, or labor codes of today, which are now modeled on international best practices, we will have to go beyond our comfort zone to learn from these, jurisdictions as to how, India should be better enough. So today, if somebody is of the view that a chalta hai attitude in compliance, which used to be the case earlier, perhaps it's not going to work because of the digital filings, because of the electronic processes in terms of regulatory compliances and mechanism. I don't think there is an escape. So now we have to think beyond as to how we can be 10 steps forward from a regulator and how we can help company become a more compliant or a better organization, what it used to be earlier.
So basically what you're saying is that the role of a general counsel, it has moved from just, advising on legal issues to more, business related decisions. And, it is coming to a center stage. And, so how do you see that, it is actually taking a seat at a board level, at a management level, in organizations in general? So of course, I mean, there are organizations which are international organizations where, you have a board seat. But at many places, that is still not the case. How do you, what message do you want to give to those promoters about the role of a general counsel or the legal head in their organization, and how should they be actually viewing it?
So Aman, one of the very interesting things which I used to hear, whenever we used to deliberate with other GCs, and this was very, very recently, and where I always had a view that a general counsel should also be a board member. So many people used to think that why are we putting a general counsel to a risk? So when I used to ask them, what is that risk? So they used to say, well, a general counsel is a lawyer to a company. Therefore, a lawyer should not be a member of the board. So somehow it never resonated with me, because I used to hear a different perspective from my business people whom we were asking to be on the board. And they used to say, why are you making us responsible for non-compliances? You know the law better than I do. So why should you not be a director? So the fundamental shift that we have to make in our own mind is we are there to protect the organization, and we are there to face the music should things go wrong. And that can only happen if I am a part of the board, if I am a part of the senior management team. So some people may say that, well, my company, we have a different reporting structure. We report to XYZ. We don't report to the legal person globally or in India or whatever. So the question is whether that person in his or her mind is clear that a general counsel should be a member of the board. Other things are only conjectures, and people may think that why I should not be a board member rather than why I should be a board member. And the moment you are able to demonstrate that with confidence to your business people that a GC needs to be in the top decision think tank, whether it's a senior management committee, whether it's a board of directors, whether it's a global committee, whatever it may be, it is your own deep desire and your confidence that you have to demonstrate to your business people. And once you demonstrate that, I don't think I have never seen that businesses will say, don't become a director. Because today, everybody knows that what could be a fallback of a company which is non-compliant. And they would be glad
Absolutely.
to offer you a seat in the boardroom or in a senior management team so that you're able to mitigate those risks.
Absolutely. See, because, I was also coming more from the promoters, viewpoint that, with that kind of a change in the mindset where the lawyers are actually at the center of the board and decision making, how it actually really is helping the promoters. So if you could say a few things that, instead of say, it's one thing for a GC to be, thinking that he should definitely be a part of the board, which is a great thing. I think promoters should also think that, they should have a general counsel on their board. So, what could be some of the benefits that a promoter would be able to get if they have a general counsel on their board and in the decision making?
So I think, Aman, a lot depends upon what you deliver or what you bring on table. So, and it depends. It depends upon an individual to individual. Some people may be very happy doing legal work, and their promoters may be content with that. That this person, if the person is able to do legal job, that is what I need. But if you have updated yourself about the business activities of the company, and if you demonstrate that you understand business, and you are willing to help more than your current role of being a legal officer of the company, I think everybody will welcome that attitude. I don't think anybody will say that if this person is talking sense in a senior management team meeting or in a boardroom, that person should not be involved in the business day to day. For example, in I think all the companies that I've worked for today, I have been really blessed that I was always a part of the senior management team. And why so? Because if you are expected to be a proactive business solution provider, which I think a general counsel should be, it is very, very important that you have to be participating in those decision-making process, the business strategy. What is that business strategy? Because if you are the one who is going to learn after 2 years that this is something which was decided 2 years ago, or 6 months down the line, and then you raise an alarm, I think that trust deficit will definitely come in. And then people will say, why did you not proactively advise us from in the very beginning? So it will be a debate. So to cut the debate short, I think it is very, very important if you volunteer yourself to be. So for example, whenever something big is coming in your organization, we have to jump at it. We have to be participative. We want to say that I want to partner in this big issue which is happening in our organization. And I'm sure that people would love, whether it's a promoter driven, whether it's a multinational, whether whatever company startup it may be. If you are delivering value, I think that is what is always accepted.
Perfect. So tell me something. You people have started a very interesting initiative called General Counsel Association of India, GCAI. How GCAI is going to play a role in, in the things that you've talked about, evolving the role of a general counsel and, a bit of an advocacy. Can you please explain that a little to us?
So yeah, so General Counsel Association of India is there to correct an anomaly in the Indian legal system. Uh, Anywhere in the world you go, and every professional body you see today, whether it's the Law Society of England, whether it's the Australian Law Society, whether it's the Company Secretary Institute of India, whether it's the Chartered Accountant Institute of India, every professional body recognizes professionals in practice as well as professionals in employment. So I am a company secretary. I am a company secretary in employment, but I am a member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. But the moment I look at myself as a lawyer, our Indian laws restrict people who are in employment to be recognized as an advocate. And which is perhaps India is one of the very few countries where this anomaly exists. And we wish and we seek help from everybody who is a lawmaker, who is an influencer, who is a decision maker, whether in government, whether in wherever, that the work that a general counsel does in an organization is wider compared to any practitioner. So we may have a chartered accountant who's practicing accountancy or finance, or we are looking at a person who's practicing tax, or somebody who's practicing litigation. I think a general counsel's role is wider in every respect. We have to deal with laws which can come, whether it's a technology law or an employment law or a corporate law, and somebody who has practiced in such a manner for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, I don't think it's fair not to treat these people at par with similar seniority of lawyers in practice, where other jurisdictions, other professions are doing that. For example, I'm a member of the Institute of Company Secretary. I'm a fellow member of the Institute of Company Secretary, but I am a member of the institute. So likewise, the desire and the request and the expectation is that we should be treated as general counsel profession should be recognized as a practice, area of practice. And that is exactly what we are trying to seek, which is the primary goal of GCAI. And allied to that is there are a lot of initiatives. For example, we believe that a general counsel should also be in education. A general counsel should also be in training and mentorship. As a result of which, we as founders, we recognized that we should tie up with institutions of eminence in India, whether it's national law universities, whether it's Indian School of Public Policy, whether it's TERI, and then we should be able to work together with these institutions to bring about the business experience so that the students who are learning and we as general counsel also learn with them. So primarily, these are the two broad objectives. And we believe that if things go well and if things go as per plan, perhaps our generation and the future generation is going to be hugely benefited because of this recognition which we are trying to seek.
Perfect. So, all the best to you with this goal from my side. Now, I'll very quickly shift our focus towards towards your journey, basically, which we talked about in the beginning. So, tell me something. How did it all start from Meerut, and what are the various twists and turns that you have seen along the way, and tell us what all really happened during the journey, because that's quite fascinating to me. I mean, of course, personally, but I wanted everyone to know that. So, and how did you come to Delhi and so on and so forth. So let's talk about those things.
So Aman, failure is the key to success. So I'm very fortunate that a lot of failures came to me in my early journey. So as you said, I come from Meerut. I'm very proud to be from that city because we have a documented history of over 400 years in that city. And my forefathers have done a lot for that city, because for which the family is still known today. And I was very fortunate. My father, he was a practicing doctor, and he practiced
That is
medicine.
another thing. That is another thing, because you don't come from a lawyer's family. I mean, so usually that helps a lot. But you come from a family where your father was a doctor, and yeah. So please carry on, and also cover that. What made you think that you should not be doing MBBS, but company secretary or a law degree.
So Aman, I come from a generation when we never used to think what we wanted to do. It was parents who decided what we should do. And this liberty of thought and expression is a very recent thing. I would say so. And and rightly so, parents had a lot of say in what you wanted to do or what you should do. So my desire was to become a medical doctor like my father, and my mother had a deep impact on me because she also retired as a professor of zoology. So education was a very, very deep thing inside me. But I must confess that as a youngster, I never had any goal or ambition, because once you are a part of a family which has so much name and fame, and we were also into film business. My uncles used to run a film business. So all film
You
stars.
should have joined. You could have joined films as well.
My sons are doing that.
I'll tell you. I mean, because this is for everyone. I mean, in fact, when we actually run this, interview, we will also be playing some very interesting clips, which are like closer to the film industry and Akhil's kind of touch point with the film industry. So that we will talk about for sure.
And when you said I should have been a part of the film industry, well, I'm trying my bits. You will see nice videos,
Yes.
which
Right.
I'm trying to do my own best as a trying to be a singer and try to develop some videos. But yeah, so that was the beginning. And then what happened was the businesses failed, because with the advent of VCRs and with the explosion of television content, it was but natural, and cable TV. It was but natural that the film business suffered, and we were into deep financial stress, to the extent that we lost a lot of personal property to pay off our debts. As a result of which, perhaps I lost my father. When I was not even married, just about 25, and and that is where I would say a Big Bang theory started. That for every evolution, there should be a lot. There should be or has to be a lot of hardship. And in my case, it came in loads. So first of all, lost my father, failed in medical entrance examinations, failed in MBA entrance examinations. So the morale was very, very low. And law was not, I ever wanted to become a lawyer. But, as destiny would have it, I moved to Bombay as a practical trainee, where I, worked under a company secretary. And that time, when I was doing a lot of, I would say I used to go to banks to collect bank statements. I used to clean offices. That is where I think, and all that was great learning experience, because once you are used to a very high standard of living, and when suddenly things change, some people are not able to adapt. And but that is exactly what happened to me. And things completely changed. So it went like this. You are coming from a family where there is no dearth of any
Luxuries, amenities.
so much luxuries around you, and then suddenly things change. So some people break, but I had no option not to break. But it did change my thinking process. And what I analyzed was that whatever we have learned or whatever we have heard about the family in last 400 years, everybody did something great, and I had to do something similar. So I did not have any financial means. So the only thing I had to do was to educate myself, and which started with a company secretary course, which, and when I say destiny, so whatever failures I had, I must have failed in about 15 to 20 medical entrance examinations. I must have failed in about 20 to 25 MBA entrance examinations. And then suddenly you do a company secretary program where the passing percentage is 2% or 3%, but you don't fail. And I cleared in one shot. So perhaps I thought there is something divine behind this. And then, once I got a start, then I did law from Meerut University. And then when I did law, I thought now it is time to expand the horizon. And that is where I thought about international law, doing it from US, from UK, from Spain, to PhDs. And, at that point of time, it was more of a necessity, but then it became a hobby for me, Aman. And, it still remains a hobby.
Yeah, no. So in fact, so my next question to you, Akhil, is that when I look at you now, the kind of things that you're doing, it seems that you have 48 hours a day and not 24 hours a day. You're doing so many things together and you're doing them so brilliantly. So, what is the secret behind that? How do you find time to do so many things?
So, the easiest answer, Aman, is when there is a will, there is a way. And, you have to really, sometimes what people do is they over-evaluate a situation. For me, it is never that. I just put myself that I have to do this. I enroll, I start. Some people, they don't even start. And that is where the problem is. So you may start and you may fail. That is a separate story. But you have already failed if you have not started.
Brilliantly said. Yeah, I so agree with you. Absolutely.
So you have to keep on doing things, find time. And as I said in the beginning, each activity you have to treat, with equal importance, whether you are clients in office, whether you work in office, whether your music class, whether your golf session, whether your family time. I think there is no room for a compromise anywhere. So everything has to be cut to cut in your calendar. You have to give time for relaxation. So for example, Aman, in my work time in office, I learn music in the mid-hour, and my guru comes to my office. We sit in my car where I have my harmonium, and I've been doing
in the parking,
parking,
right?
and I have been doing this for last 5 years. That
Wow.
we learn music in my car, and that is a way of relaxation. So people say you take a nap. It's a Japanese theory that if you sleep for half an hour during the daytime, it increases your productivity. And I'm exactly doing that. I do 1 hour of music twice a week with my guru, and it did not stop even during pandemic. We were doing online classes. So if you are wanting to do something, you have to start, and it will happen.
And your tennis and your GCAI commitment,
yeah,
and your socializing, and of course, like a day job where you're like contributing excellently. So, I think a great inspiration to a lot of people. You've talked about mentorship earlier, that you said that you were lucky that you got so many mentors. So, can you talk a little about that as well?
Yeah. So, some people think that an individual can give you mentorship. But, when things are down, most of the people will not give you mentorship. That is what I think. And, what I have experienced, that when chips are down, people will only put you down. And that is the most important moment when you have to seek an inspiration. And my inspiration, when I used to, my father passed away, and I just got married. And for those next 12 years, I used to commute in a chartered bus from Meerut to Delhi, 12 long years. And those were the days when you did not have too much employment opportunities, because, things were only coming up after the 1991 economic revolution, which India had. So in those 7 hours of journey every day for 12 years, I used to seek inspiration every day, that what should I do to get out of this situation. So education was one of the most important motivating factor which came to me. And then, I have got a lot of inspiration from watching movies, from listening music, reading about great people and their biographies, how in difficult times such people were able to come back and bounce back. Looking at, eminent personalities, even like somebody like, for example, just to give an illustration, somebody like an Amitabh Bachchan, he such a great
Absolutely.
superstar, and then everything finished, almost on the verge of bankruptcy and still bounced back. So I think you don't get people to mentor you when your chips are down, but when your chips are up, people will want to associate with you. I think this is what I try and do, Aman. I try and communicate with anybody and everybody who reaches out for help. And I also seek help, for example. So for example, on my LinkedIn connections, I try and respond to each and every one of them, to the best of my ability. And I'm not saying that everybody I get to respond to, but I try and help anybody and everybody. And I try and seek help also from people, when my chips are down, which still I am, after trying to do so many things, you get frustrated, you get demotivated, you get depressed. But then you have to listen to my favorite Kishore Kumar song, and then, you get energized. And that is the inspiration. And these are the things, how I seek inspiration.
That is, I think, such a brilliant and inspiring story. I wanted to actually, towards the end, ask you that, what are those 2-3 messages that you see? There are lots of, young boys and girls who are, sitting in Delhi or sitting in remote towns who, have aspirations, but, very often, they don't have the ways, they don't have the means, to kind of do things. What are just 2-3 messages based on your own journey that you want to give to these people that they can also make it big?
So the biggest thing is to dream, Aman. And once you dream and once you decide what you want to become, I don't think location is a disadvantage. And I'm not suggesting.
Not anymore. I mean, if you look at, earlier also you've shown that. But today, in the world where the internet is, this is absolutely right. Yeah.
And absolutely, Aman, while we are moving from 4G to 5G, I think this explosion will happen. That locations will not matter. But what is very, very important, and what I have seen and observed in my own case, that I evaluate myself every year, constant evaluation, and I try to think what is it that I should improve this year. And then I try and make a plan to make that improvement inside me. So that is a message I would like to give to people who are watching this, is you must dream and make a plan to achieve that dream. So whether it is by way of education, whether it is by updating your skill, try and do what you love. But you must also think about a plan that whatever you want to do should also give you some financial gain. Because some people may think that they want to do something which may or may not be remunerative, which may not work in the long run. Always follow your passion, but always think that ultimately you will have to support your family. So try and do something which will definitely have a financial reward, but never forget your dreams. So for example, Aman, when I lost my father wanted me to go to US to study, but we lost him. And then there were financial problems. I always wanted to an LLM from US. So 20 years later, when I went to Northwestern to do my LLM, so, I was perhaps one of the older ones in that group. And like a Shah Rukh Khan in Main Hoon Na, people used to say about my age that you are a late learner. And then, I used to smile. And then we were having a conversation during our pass out. And some of the professors, they poked me again. What took you so long? So I said, sir, to be very frank, I could not afford this education 20 years ago. But it was a dream that I will do it someday. I did not forget my dream, but now I was able to do it and I did it. So this is the message I would like to say to people who are watching is whatever dream you may have, never let go that dream and always try and achieve it.
Absolutely. Age is just a number. And looking at you, I can like very, very confidently say that because, it is important. I mean, I was myself shocked when I got to know that your children are in their graduation and all of that. Of course, age is just a number. So thank you so much for these, lovely words. And I think, trust me that this is very, very inspiring for me and for everyone who is going to listen to this conversation. So thank you so much, Akhil. But lastly, I just want to ask you one question that, what do you think about our platform LawWiser and how we can actually support General Counsels?
So LawWiser, Aman, you have been instrumental in helping us in setting up of General Counsel Association. I think what I can say is it's a phenomenal effort. And the best part about you guys is you are burning the midnight oil with us. So whether, we are working at whatever crazy time zones, I think you and your team have been extremely patient. And that is exactly what is needed when you are doing a startup. So even, all these people who are founders are very, very well established General Counsels in their own way. But each one of them is so passionate about GCAI that, they are treating it as a startup. And in a startup, the most important help that you need is from your partners. And LawWiser has been a phenomenal partner to us in terms of whether it's the media support, whether it's LinkedIn support, in whatever way. So I think you are creating an organization with a difference that you are not only showcasing the good work that the lawyers are doing, but it is not only about a platform, but I think your help is beyond that. And which is something which I have not experienced with many other organizations like yours. So some people will do a video, they will post a video, but I think your support with your team is much deeper to help promote a cause, which perhaps is beyond a web interview. It is beyond a online interview. It is more about hand-holding and tasting success together, which is something which is very, very commendable that you are doing in LawWiser.
Thank you so much, Akhil. And in fact, for those, crazy evening meetings, we have a brilliant incentive as well. And you know what I'm talking about. Brilliant and tasty incentives that actually come along with
and a hot
bread
tea
pakoras and a hot tea and chola bhaturas and all of that. Yeah. And that also pushes us to work harder in our fitness goals. So that's Absolutely. Another added thing that happens.
And it's not about eating in a 5-star restaurant. I think it is spending quality time together, which makes it more memorable.
No. And in fact, everything is very, very important. So I think, that time and that connection with the real world, I think that matters a lot, I think. So
yeah, because when you go Aman to these places and where you see, it makes you humble. It makes you that you should be on your feet, on the ground, no matter at what level you are. And that humbleness and, on ground attitude is very, very important. So one of the last things I would like to say is to people who are watching is try to be yourself wherever you are. So some people change when they are in home versus when they are in office. I think you should be similar in both places, whether it's a workplace or at home. You are what you are. And when you Absolutely. Are able to do that, your performance will be the best.
Absolutely. I think very well said, Akhil. Thank you so much for your time today. It was lovely, lovely talking to you, and all the best with all your efforts and GCAI.
Together we will. Thank you, Aman. So nice of you for having me here.
Thank you.